Question. Has any musician ever been as connected to an instrument as Willie Nelson is to his guitar trigger, to the point where he threatened to quit music in 1991 if the IRS seized the guitar? Leave a comment if you can think of one, but I think Willie and Trigger are it. Fact 1. Willie and Trigger met as a result of a happy accident. So in 1969, Willie Nelson was 8 records into his career and had just released the album Good Times. Now, as an RCA artist, he was constantly being given free guitars, and he'd gone through a rotating cast of Tellys, Jaguars, Jagmasters, and even a few Gibsons when the Baldwin Company gave him an 800C classical guitar fitted with a Prismatone pickup, which is said to be the first to nail the sound of an acoustic into an amp. Now, not long after, Willie was playing a honky-tonk in Texas when some drunk guy stood on the Baldwin, smashed it up good. A couple of guys from Willie's band took the guitar to Shot Jackson's shop in Nashville, only to be told it was beyond repair. Now, Willie needed a guitar, so Shot offered to take the Prismatone pickup out of the Baldwin and fit it in a Martin N20 classical guitar, and thus, Trigger was born. Fact 2. Trigger was named after a famous horse. So Trigger was first used on Willie's 1969 album My Own Peculiar Way, and I only mention that because look at the cover. How's that Willie Nelson? Anyway, Trigger quickly became Willie's #1 guitar and defined his sound as he hit the big time in the 70s. 20 years after he got the guitar, he decided to name it Trigger after Roy Rogers' horse, saying, "Roy Rogers has a horse named Trigger. I figured this is my horse." Now, before I get to fact number 3, all of us at KillerGuitarRigs.com really enjoy putting this video together, so if you have any ideas for other guitars you'd like to see us cover, leave a comment below, we'll get working on them. Fact 3, Trigger was almost lost twice. The same year that Willie got Trigger, he came home to find his house was on fire. Now, it being 1969 and Willie Nelson being Willie Nelson, he had a pound of Colombian weed in the house, and as he ran into the house to save the pot from either the fire or the firemen, he grabbed Trigger. Some 20 years later, Willie was in hot water with the IRS to the tune of about $32 million, and as the IRS started seizing and selling off all of his assets to come up with the money, Willie had his daughter Lana snatch Trigger from the studio and secreted away to Maui, where he literally hid the guitar in his manager's house until things cooled down with the IRS in 1993. Fact 4. Trigger's famous hole is closely tied to a Belgian jazz musician. See, one of the things that makes Trigger's sound in Willie's hand so distinctive is also the source of the gaping hole in the front of the guitar. See, classical guitars are made to be played with fingers, but one of Willie's biggest influences is Django Reinhardt, who pioneered gypsy jazz using a tortoiseshell button as a pick. Willie also uses a pick with Trigger in order to get that percussive style that Django had, but the guitar doesn't have a pick guard. So over the years, Willie tore a hole in the front of the thing, right in the treble side of the sound hole. Willie said he doesn't want to cover up the hole with a pickguard because, as he says it, he needs a place to put his fingers. Fact 5. There's only one luthier Willie trusts to take care of Trigger. Now, Willie is famously protective of Trigger to the point where he punched Jerry Jeff Walker for playing it without permission in the 70s. That said, as a 50-year-old guitar with a gaping wound, Trigger does need regular attention. And for that, Willie turns to Mark Erlewine, who performs annual life-extending maintenance on the guitar, including regularly adding additional bracing to keep the hole on the guitar from basically allowing the whole thing to collapse. That said, Willie doesn't allow any actual restoration to take place on the guitar. He wants it to stay exactly as it is, so everything Erlewine does is essentially a band-aid. So that's it for the list. We hope you enjoyed this video as much as we did making it. Please let us know in the comments what guitar you'd like us to feature next. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and then watch one of these 2 videos.